for the past 16 or so years, I've been a heroin addict. I guess it probably started with the
So, here we go.
My name's Travis. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm 35, and for the past 16 or so years, I've been a heroin addict. It's been, I guess, heroin, coke, crack, pain pills. Started with opiates, really. And I guess it probably started with the molestation that we discussed before. From the older kid in the neighborhood, and then. I'm sure a lot of things stem from that. I guess when I was like 12 years old, I started smoking some pot and stuff because my dad sold it. And it was, readily available, I should say, tons of it. And I didn't think, drugs it was desensitized to us in the household, I guess. It wasn't that, we knew that we weren't supposed to do drugs and blah, 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 whatever, but we thought that, since my dad was selling tons of coke and pot and guns and shit like that, or whatever, it didn't matter. It wasn't that dangerous because it wasn't heroin or anything like that or crack. But, marijuana is definitely a gateway drug. It's simple as that. Because I smoked pot, took Adderall in high school and stuff, and then Xanax. And once I found my way around to Percocets and Vicodins and shit, and it was just like, wow, this is so much easier than drinking or any of that shit, you pop a couple pills and you're good. It gave you energy, you were high. It just didn't seem why anybody would work drinking half a bottle of liquor or something to get that, feeling compared to just popping a pill. That's crazy. But the price of those things, they get pricey. Especially when you get into tolerance levels. And you start taking 4 Oxy 80s or $60 a piece a day or 6 of them a day. And then it escalates. It gets out of hand pretty quick. And that's where you find the heroin that's so much cheaper. Especially when you're shooting the shit. You could do, it's at first, it doesn't seem like a lot. You don't do a little bit of it. And it's comparison. You do like a tenth of heroin's like doing an OC 80 at first, you know what I'm saying? It gets you together for a while, and then you build a tolerance to it so quick it just gets out of hand too. It really is a downward spiral. That's the best way I can describe it. And it's the speed it increases is just extra mental. Yeah, it's just ridiculous, really. Let's see here. So yeah, I guess I started right around the whole big heroin epidemic. I guess it started in the mid to early 2000s, I guess, right around here. Dayton and Cincinnati, 08, I think that's when I started doing it. And we were going to Dayton and getting it. And didn't realize that it was down here in the city too, but.
Were you on Oxycontin before that, right before you switched to heroin?
Oh, yeah. We were
Oxycontin 80s?
Yeah, I was shooting Oxy 80s and 60s.
Purdue Pharma was really ground zero in Ohio and West Virginia and Kentucky, right? This was really the hub for all that. So that was, were pills everywhere around here?
Oh, yeah, everybody was.
Talk to us about your experiences with that.
Everybody was doctor shopping. My sister was going to Florida and stuff with people and getting scripts, and my brother-in-law at the time, John, he OD'd a few years ago, but he was going and when she got with him, I think part of the reason why she got with him was because he was getting scripts of 80s and stuff, you know what I'm saying? But it was really bad because there was hell, my mom had bottles of pills. It was just overflowing in a little plastic thing from the hospital where she'd had them, these big old bottles. They were just handing out pills around here like crazy, man. It was sick. It was just it was everywhere. Everybody was doing them. Everybody had them. And then it slowly got to where it was the price went through the roof. Because when I first started getting Roxys and Oxys, you could get Roxys at 30s, which are $30 a piece now, or 25 a piece. They were $5, $2 or $3 a pop. It wasn't nothing for people just to hand them out, give them away for nothing. And then the OC 80s, those things, Jesus. If I remember the first time I ever snorted one of them, I just did half of it, and that was too much. I thought I was going to die. It was whoa.
Can you explain that feeling the first time that you tried an Oxycontin like that?
Yeah, I definitely knew once I started sweating and started getting nauseous from it that I was like, oh, well, that was a little too much. But, you know, it didn't stop me. Obviously, I'm still here, unfortunately, from sometimes.
Did you like it? Did you like that feeling?
To a degree. It scared me a little bit, but then it was like, well, you know, I survived it, so I was like, well, hell, I'll be all right. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you get that where it's like, oh, crap, maybe I did too much. You start panicking a little bit, but you don't want to, like, say anything or do anything. Oh, man, maybe not. But, yeah, it was a little intense for a few minutes, but then after that, the high kicks in and you don't give a fuck. You're just like, numb to it at that point, like, I'll be all right. But then you get to like sometimes when you get too high and you're puking your guts out, and you're like, well, that's your body's response to too much toxins, so you're getting rid of it. So
you had mentioned in around '08 is when you started doing heroin.
Yeah.
Was it fentanyl back then, or was it actual like brown?
It was a real heroin.
Real heroin.
Yeah.
For China White and everything.
Yep. It was long. It was before fentanyl hit because. You know, you really didn't hear a lot. I mean, you did, don't get me wrong, but compared to fentanyl, people overdosing, there wasn't near as many as there were, like now. There are, like, way more than there was when there was regular heroin. Like, that stuff, you can't find it now. Like, it's crazy. Everything's just all fentanyl. And I get it, it's a lot cheaper for them to sell it and manufacture it, but, you know, it's definitely killing a lot more people. Because, I mean, I didn't even personally overdose until I started messing with fentanyl.
So how many times have you overdosed?
4 times. Yeah, I've had to be Narcan twice.
Was it like you went to the hospital or were you unconscious at all? Like, or was this pretty much they Narcan you and you come right back to?
I was definitely unconscious both times, and once you get Narcan, it's like it takes a little bit, but you do come back. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah, explain that. What is that like coming back from an overdose when someone, when they're in fire or EMS or police or whoever it is, Narcans you?
Luckily, I've never no one's ever called 911 for me yet. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's luckily. But when I do wake up from it, I'm like, whoa. And then, like, the Narcan actually makes, like, it strips your receptors and then makes you feel like it's like you have the worst impending doom feeling possible is the best way I can describe it to you. It's just like, oh, fuck, I've been Narcaned. This is not good. And you're just like, because then precipitated withdrawal, or it's terrible. Because go ahead.
So who Narcan? Like, are you using with people? Do you carry Narcan with you?
Oh yeah.
Because of how serious it is out there and the strength of the fentanyl. Most addicts carrying Narcan with them?
I mean, it's pretty readily available for most of us now, thank God, because. I mean, I've used it. I can't even tell you how many times on people and saved so many people. It's not even funny. Like, if it wouldn't have been for Narcan, there'd be half the people I know probably wouldn't be around right now.
Have you lost anybody because of their drug addictions? Have you seen the ultimate loss?
Yeah, I've woke up in bed and found my girlfriend dead next to me once. She was like barely breathing, had foam coming out of her mouth and stuff. So she didn't recover from that. Yeah, I've lost a lot of friends to this shit. A lot of good people. Just because they had an addiction didn't mean they weren't good people, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Are the marks on your arms, are those track marks?
yeah, I have track marks. There's some bad, but there's some poison ivy, but yeah, I've got some. Most of them are on my legs now because I can't even hit with my hands and arms anymore. I had to start shooting in my legs, and that's pretty bad. You can see any of them, but I think there's a mark there, and like on my thighs where it's mostly at. But that's what took me so long getting here today. I was trying to get that when I could talk to you on the phone. I was trying to, yeah. But
what other sort of health issues are you having because of your addiction?
I know I have hepatitis C. Like I said, a couple years ago, I turned like jaundice from it, and I didn't go to the hospital or anything like that for it. I just let it figure it out itself. I was like, well, if it's gonna kill me, it's gonna kill me. So fuck it. I was so sick by that point though from it that I just didn't even care. You know what I'm saying? Like, luckily I recovered somehow, but I guess I'm resilient. I'd say I'm hard to kill sometimes, but it's never the case.
So where are you living? Walk us through a typical day with you right now in your life.
A typical day is, I live in a hotel, and every day it's, coming up with the money for the room, and then everything else, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's top priority always, because you got to keep a roof over our head. Because if not, if I go back out here and I'm living in the streets again, then I'm just going to end up in jail, and I really don't like doing that again. That shit sucks.
How many times have you been to jail?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. I don't even know.
You lost count, it's been so many?
Yeah. Yeah, the longest stint I ever did was... Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, I'd say the longest stint I ever did was like 7 months straight, but I mean, that don't seem like a lot of people had been to the joint and stuff, but I try to, avoid going to prison if possible, be smart about what I do. But there's been some close calls, for sure.
So you wake up in the hotel, and you do what you have to do to try to find money for the hotel.
Yeah.
And then I'm assuming the next thing is try to find money for drugs?
Yeah.
How are you doing that? Are you working?
No. No, I've actively been trying to find a job lately, but, it's just like whatever I got to do here or there, if I got to fucking cop somebody else some dope to make some money off of it or something, you know what I'm saying? Like, anything to avoid having my girlfriend try to do anything that she wouldn't have to do, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because that's not going to work.
Does that happen?
It's happened a couple times.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
She's had to trick, you know what I mean? She didn't have to, but it's come down to that where she's like, she was too sick or something. And she's like, fuck it, I'm going to make something happen if you can't. So, and that's just the thing is that the drugs start controlling people and it sucks, And then of course there's people that prey on people like that, you know what I'm saying? Like the sex industry. There's just, there's some void and people fill it. That's all there is, you know what I'm saying? Like people are going to definitely take advantage of any opportunity they can. As terrible as it is. Like my sister's a prostitute. I've got a bunch of friends that are prostitutes. Actually, that's why I started staying in hotels was because the prostitutes would pay you to be, protection effectively for these Johns out here. Because there's so many of them that try to rob them. This is like, you might as well be a rapist if you're going to rob a prostitute. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just terrible. To me, it is. I don't know. But yeah, I've been staying in hotels for like 4 or 5 years at least, maybe longer than that now, probably, just because I guess they feel more comfortable having somebody at 6'3", 200-something pounds around, just in case. But I don't know. That's how I've made a lot of my money, just really being around a lot of females that, just fucking making sure they're safe, really.
So you guys find this camaraderie.
It's like a symbiotic little relationship, effectively. You know what I'm saying?
You look out for me, I'll look out for you, and I know what you're going through, so we might as well look out for each other.
Yeah.
Did you get high today?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you high right now, or are you kind of feeling withdrawals because it's wearing off?
Definitely. I'm not feeling it yet, but I mean, definitely gonna have to get some here soon in me.
Yeah. Talk to us about that. Is it like extremely easy to find heroin or not heroin, but opiates in Cincinnati, Ohio?
It is to a degree because I mean, like, it's like everywhere, every street, every corner in Cincinnati. I'd say there's got somebody on it that knows or has it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not even an exaggeration. Like, you make it 15 foot down the street, you'd be surprised if you ain't seen 3 people or 3 transactions or something. Most places down here, like it's pretty prevalent. Let's put it like that. But finding the stuff that, is the quality anymore is the problem too, to a degree, because people are just like fleecing people and cutting it so bad that it's just like, you waste your money a lot of times sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't do anything for you, and it's like, fuck, here we go again. Back out here hustling or doing some grinding to fucking come up with the money just to try and get well again, and that's not cool. But it's just the game, though. Somebody's got to prey on something.
Speaking of that, I'm sure you've done some things that you're not proud of to, fuel your addiction. It's a daily thing, sometimes multiple times a day, and those times of desperation, when you're on your own and you didn't have your girlfriend. Yeah. What's something that you just don't, something you wish you hadn't done?
No, I've robbed people. I've kicked in doors. I've done all kinds of dumb shit like that I'm not proud of. It's definitely, when you're stealing people's belongings and selling them and shit, that's not cool. It's really not, because you take people's sense of security away from them, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, but that's about, honestly, that's as far as that's went for me. Fortunately, I've seen other dudes do some pretty, like, I don't know, questionable things, but.
Like what?
I've seen other dudes do fucking, they get on there and sell themselves too. They'll trick with dudes and dope boys and shit, and it's just like, wow, I can't go it though. I mean, I don't know. I guess because of where I was molested or something, I'm like I don't know, borderline homophobic to a degree. So just fucking, I'd rather beat somebody up or something and take their shit or something, rob them or something like that. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I want to go back to that. How much do you think? How old were you when you were molested?
I want to say it's like maybe 5 or 6. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew enough things. Like I knew right from wrong, but I didn't know anything about that yet. You know what I'm saying? Like that, he took all that from me. I didn't know what we were doing or what he was doing to me. That it wasn't supposed to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like I had no idea then, but eventually, not long after that, I figured it out. Like, oh yeah, this isn't supposed to be happening.
How old was he?
I'd say he's like 4 or 5 years older than me.
And was this like a family friend or
It was a next door neighbor.
Do you believe that event in your life has had anything to do with the person that you are today?
Oh yeah, I definitely believe that I'm a product of my environment for sure. Environmental effects definitely create us and sculpt us into what we become, and our views and outlooks on things, our perspectives, our experiences, definitely.
And have you dealt with that in a healthy way? I mean, did you hold on to it, and drugs are your way to cope with that trauma that's happened, or
yeah,
have you tried to process it and get it out with treatment therapists or counselors or anything?
It took me 30 years before I could talk about it, really. So about 25 years or so before I could actually tell anybody. I was 30 years old before I even told my sister what had happened. That was the first person I told. But then after that, like in the same year, I mean, I did talk to a counselor about it and stuff, because that was like the first time I had gotten clean since I had been an adult. I was about 30 years old. So from 18 to then, I hadn't made any big gaps in sobriety there. Until then, I did, and then that's when I decided, maybe I should talk about some things and get it out there. Yeah.
How many times have you been to treatment?
3 or 4. I've been inpatient a couple times, and then outpatient a couple times. Well, I mean, outpatient ones I've done 6 or 7 times, probably, between methadone clinics, Suboxone clinics. Yeah. Maybe probably 10 times, I guess. 10.
And did you experience any length of sobriety when you went through those centers?
Yeah, well, I got like 4.5 years the one time. I was doing pretty good, I guess.
Did you like that? Did you like being sober?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely a better life, that's for sure.
Do you want to be sober? Do you believe that you can get sober?
Yeah.
You do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm getting close to where it's about time to do it again. For real, because there's no future in being a dope fiend, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing for you in it. There's no good outcome for it. That's for sure. I mean, unless I get clean, then that's the only way, is to get clean and change my life, obviously. Because you can't go on shooting dope and expect to live very long. Life expectancy can't be very long for somebody shooting heroin or fentanyl or methamphetamines, you know what I'm saying?
If I could give you a magic wand right now and you could wave that magic wand, and fast forward immediately, right this very moment to your dream life, what does that look like?
Dream life, that's a good question. Obviously, I'd like to be clean, sober, maybe never have those thoughts of using again. Would be great. But, I don't know. Just what everybody else out here that ignores all these drug addicts and stuff. The people that walk around here every day with a 9 to 5, just normal life, that would be fine with me right now. You know what I mean? Like, just to get out of this chaotic, it's just, it's crazy out here, man. I'd just like to have a normal life again, really. That would be my dream right now, would be just to have a 9 to 5 and a house, a car.
So if we could end, with a message to, 2 messages really, to people who judge individuals that are struggling with addiction, and then a message to, young people out there today who might be experimenting and, getting their hands into things that they shouldn't be getting into. What would the first one be to people that don't understand what it's like? The people that don't understand that you're human too, and you have pain and happiness and sadness and feelings, and there's things that have happened in your life that have brought you to where you're at today. What would your message be to those people that judge?
Yeah, I would tell them not to be so quick to judge, because you never know what somebody else is going through, you know what I mean, and what they've went through. Because if you could see, I've been guilty of it myself, but to some people's shoes that they walk in every day, you wouldn't believe some of the things the burden that some people are carrying out here every day. You know what I'm saying? Like some of these girls that people are like, oh, there's a hooker. Look at that slut, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, don't be so quick to judge her or that junkie over there and saying, oh, hell, they don't need Narcan, let them die. No, they're still humans, They just lost their way. They've got a lot of pain, a lot more pain than some people can ever tolerate. But just don't be so quick to judge and cast your judgment on them. They're not.
That's a great message. What about to our youth, the kids that are going to be growing up and experimenting with substances?
There's nothing I can say that's going to stop them or tell them not to do it, of course, but just be careful, moderation if you're going to experiment with stuff. Obviously, I'm sure most of them are going to, or a lot of people will. So you don't want to. There's just some dark roads you can end up going down, some of these substances, let's put it like that. And some of them you can't come back from.